Look at this. The BS getting all these celebrities now. We're so famous. That's what happens when you get over 100,000 downloads, Nate. You get the celebrities that take the time out of their day to build their own podcast studio just to talk to us. That's what Paul VIRZI did. That's what I heard.
An honor.
Obviously, he's one of my friends, but in my opinion, one of the best stand-up comics that exists. Whether you see him on TV or whether you listen to him on his podcasts or especially you go see him live. And the thing I like about Paul, and he's going to be, for those of you that listen to the show and you're in Atlanta, he's at the Punchline this entire weekend. So Friday through Sunday, you can go see him with a bunch of different shows, punchline.com. But Paul, I've always noticed this about you. Every time I go and see you, you change something up in your act. You're like a hardworking comic. There are some comics that just go out there and just think that they're born funny and they don't have to put any work into it. You actually put work into it.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot, especially from guys that, have seen a lot and been around a lot of comics. But yeah, I mean, we're in a time right now where it's like a lot of people, TikTok stars and YouTube, YouTube shit. Oh, can I curse or no?
Absolutely. You can do whatever you want.
I just didn't want to, but yeah, like there's so many people that are doing like quick stuff. They're not looking at the long road. For me, it was stand up, man. Like, I don't want to be a TikTok star. I don't want to be YouTube. I love doing my podcast, but I didn't get in the business to be a radio host. I'm a stand-up first, man. And that's the craft that I really dedicated my life to. So I take it real seriously. I want to make sure every hour I put out is better than the last. My new special, I think, is that's coming out this year. So yeah, man. And I love coming out to Atlanta because that room, the Punchline, always fun to work stuff, and it's designed perfectly. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Paul was one of the first guys that I text when I got fired. And I was hoping he was going to say, well, I need a lackey. You can come out on the road and carry my bags for me. I'll pay you $4.95 an hour. I was like, but I didn't get that text back. I think it was more or less something. I don't know what you said, Paul, but you're like, you'll be okay, kid. Get your dick up off the ground. You'll be fine.
I remember I did Jim and Sam, and you were like, hey, man.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I listened to you on Jim and Sam. I'm not there anymore. And I was like, oh, shit. But I knew and here's the other thing, though. That's the thing about like today, right? You got a studio, you got a radio show now. You got your own, you know what I mean? You got your own radio show. Nobody's going to fire you. It's the best.
Oh, trust me, dude. The day that it happened, it was the most liberating thing that I've ever had in my life. I feel like I just got circumcised, and I come home and instead of just, not doing anything, I call Nate. I call Nate because Nate's in Mexico now. So they let him go because they said he couldn't work in Mexico. So the whole show got dismantled. So pretty much what they did was they said, let's put a group of untalented, uncreative, bit-stealing, dumb fucks in a room and be popular because of our egos. And let's get rid of all the people that actually work, that are creative. That was their game plan. Nice job, A-Team, you dumb fucks. And so like I came home and I was like, Nate, this was already wheels in motion with our Wednesday free show. And we already had ideas to do the BS radio type shows. I was like, let's balls in on this. And I've told my agent, I don't know if I want to go back to corporate America. This show's doing so well. I mean, we've got like 15 sponsors, thousands of subscribers. It's picking up, so I love it. Can't complain.
And it's great to see you have no animosity.
Hey, that's my thing for 2022. I was talking about this the other day. That fucking show Yellowstone has made me go back, revert. Before you knew me, I was a very vengeful person. And then I stopped being that guy because I tried to play the game and be politically correct and managerial and all that stuff because people were telling me, it's like, you're hard to work with. You're a little rough around the edges. You're a bull in a china shop. So I tried to be more passive. Look where it got me. I'm going back to the way I used to. And the only reason I did that is because the fucking Dutton family kills everybody that fucks with them. I'm like, that's what I want to be. I want to be Jason Dutton, That's what I want to be. So, anyway.
Yeah, man. And the thing is, if somebody keeps telling you, hey, man, you're rough around the edges or like, a bull in a china shop and all that stuff, the crazy thing is it's like that's kind of what got you where you were. And that's why now in 2022, you have a radio show from your home and you do whatever the fuck you want with your fans, and it's the best and you're free. So it's like, I think everything happens for a reason. And I'm one of those. I really am one of those, man. I'm a everything happens for a reason type of guy. I know some people like, oh, come on. I don't know what it is. I'm not trying to be too spiritual, but you know, in my mind, you're meant to be doing that, man. And it's going to be a beautiful thing.
I appreciate that. You know, in your world, in the comic world, I would assume it's tough. You know, it's very similar to the story that I was just telling, is that as you're making your way up to the ranks, and not that I mean, we're always paying our dues, every single one of us. I don't care if you're at the top of the totem pole or not. You never stop paying your dues. And if you subscribe to that theory, you'll be successful. It's the people that don't subscribe to that theory are the lazy fucks that get what they get coming. But in the comic world, you know, you've got guys like Chappelle who are at the top of the game, right? And he's pretty much said, go fuck yourself. This is what I believe. This is what I do. But if you're a comic just starting out, you really can't have that attitude, right? I mean, very few can succeed with that attitude.
That's actually a really good point. Like, fortunately, I've gotten to a place where it's like, I don't get a pass like Chappelle or anything like that. But once you've established yourself as a comic, dude, you know what? I think this guy is trying to come to my house to pick up a TV I punched because of Oculus. Can I just get this real quick? 1 second.
Absolutely. Go get it.
Okay.
Tell him to come in the back room and come on the show too.
I'll be right there. Hello?
That's awesome. What do you say, an Oculus? Like the eye
okay,
things?
great. I'm on, can they, they could just knock on the door. That's fine. What are you thinking? Like, okay. No worries. Thank you. Okay, bye.
We got to make blooper reels.
So no, dude, so my wife got me this. Sorry about that. My wife got me the Oculus Quest 2 for Christmas, dude.
Nice, yeah.
And I was playing that fucking boxing game. And I jumped forward and I punched our 70-inch screen in our main room and it went fucking black. Dude, I was in another fucking world, man. I was in an arena with a fucking crowd. Dude, I felt like I was in the middle of the garden doing stand-up again. And then there's this giant dude in front of me and he's punching me and the fucking thing was mocking me. It was going for better effect, punch harder. So I'm like, fuck you, dude. So I start and my son and daughter are in the room. And I guess apparently right as my son said, Dad, you're getting close to the TV, I jumped with a right. And dude, I just hit my TV. My TV goes completely black. It's a 70-inch. And this was during the holidays. So I ended up getting a bigger Samsung the next day, but I didn't crack the first one. So these guys are coming here to take it and to see if it could be salvaged. So then I'll have another one. So yeah, dude, that Oculus thing, I don't know if you have it. I don't know if you listen. I'm sure some of your listeners, some of the games are so realistic. You're in another world. You forget that you're standing in your living room with a fucking headset on.
Did you please tell me you had a camera running somewhere in the living room, right? To get this, you know?
No, of course not. But you know what's funny is as soon as it happened, I looked at my young kids and I go, it's your fault. You got to tell Dad you're close to the TV. He's close to the TV. And my kids just looked at me and I was like, all right, it's not your fault, but let me know. And my son goes, Dad, right when I said you're getting close to the TV, you punched it.
Are you the type of dad, Paul, that when your kids want to play with the Oculus, you say, like 10 more minutes. Dad's got it for 10 more minutes.
Yes, I am that. Yes, I am. I'm like, look, it was a gift from your mother to me. I'll let you play it, but that's my game. And then there's I was talking about this yesterday. There's a World War I game in the plane that got me like motion sick. It really is like, because I've never done virtual reality stuff before. And doing it, and I think the technology is just getting better. So I got to kind of chill with that.
I can see. As a Gen Xer, I think you and I are around the same age, but we grew up in the pioneer days of video games, from ColecoVision to Atari to Intellivision to Commodore 64s, then eventually the Nintendos and all that stuff. So, and the rule of thumb was if you had friends that were going to come over, that you'd play a 2-player game. So, the race car games were good. All the sports games were, you didn't bust. You're like, hey, come over, watch me play Zelda. And you're like, fuck you, man.
Right.
Coming over. But now kids are making millions of dollars with millions of kids watching them play on YouTube. My son was like that, you know, and I guess my point is like, if I had younger kids that were into video games, I get it. That's like a bonding experience. But when you're like a 46-year-old man by yourself and you're having some 10-year-old in Japan drop the N-bomb on you 20 times because you missed the sniper shot, like, what the fuck is your life about right now? You know?
Yeah. But you know, it's funny that you said that. And it kind of goes back to like, you know, we were talking about the Chappelle thing, how he has leniency, and like, you have to have gotten, you know, somewhat established in order to say those things. But right now, you really can do your own thing where, yes, you are right with what you said as far as like, listen, man, you gotta watch what you say if you want to get, you know, like you said, corporate stuff. If you want to get into movies, you want to get parts, you want to act, you want to do things like that, which I definitely do. So when I do my material, even if it's edgy, I like to walk the line because I'm not stupid, and I don't want to say anything stupid just for shock value. Right. So that's the other thing. Some people are saying shit that gets themselves. By the way, I'll bring this back to the video game thing. Yeah. But shock value and edgy shit just for the sake of that is hurting people because they're not looking at the long game, and they're like, oh, I'm on a podcast now, I'm going to say some rebel shit and people are going to, and it's like, no. What do you really want to do? What do you want to do? Because that's flash in the pan shit. That's for now. That's for a few people talking about you going, hey, I love that you said that. But it's like, did you say it because A, you mean it? Or are you saying it because you're trying to get somewhere, right? Or you're trying to think like, do you really mean it? But now going back to what you're saying about the video game thing, this is the biggest cash grab for somebody that is willing to take a risk, like start a radio show from their house, start playing video games for money, go out into the woods with a camera and make a fucking movie. Like if you can't do shit now, you're a lazy piece of shit. I'm serious. If you don't make something of yourself now, you are a lazy piece of shit who's looking for any excuse. Oh, COVID. Oh, this. It's like, no, this iPhone right here can make a movie. Yeah. Like they've put movies on Netflix that were shot on fucking iPhones. You can make a comedy club in your fucking living room now and stream it out to millions of people. So these lazy fucks don't want to do the work.
I agree. This was, you know, when we started this, I told our audience, you know, we call them the 2%ers because in the radio world, when things don't go right, the excuse is, oh, that's just 2% of the audience. So I said, all right, fuck it. I'll take your 2% and I'll have them come listen to me with the 180 million people that have that listen to podcasts on Spotify. I'll take those odds. So it's, you know, it's me being a dick. But when any other time that I've been on quote unquote the beach or unemployed in radio, which has not been a lot in almost 30 years, is I had not had this opportunity. Like that's what radio people, comics, anybody that uses a microphone or is in front of a camera for a living, what we miss is being behind a microphone or in front of people or in front of a camera. It's a drug to us. It's our high. And, you know, now with technology the way it is, and I built this studio, which my studio is fucking nicer than the radio station studio.
Dude, I was going to say, your studio looks sick, man.
It's you know, I built this knowing that eventually I was going to get fired. So this was all like kind of a game plan. And I'm like, there's no reason. I told Nate this the first day. I said, Nate, there's no reason why we just don't continue as we were doing yesterday. We have a bigger, you know, the probability of a bigger audience on the fucking internet. And now we can be unfiltered. We can actually say what we want to say without having the FCC get involved. And we get our own sponsors, and we don't have to charge them out the ass like radio does and promise them bullshit advertising on, oh, you're going to get these mentions on the website. And it's all fucking lies. You know, radio lies to the audience. So it's like, we don't have to do any of that shit anymore. You know, that's why we call this, that's what we call this better than radio, the BS better than radio. So that's the tagline. That's the
hashtag. Is that what that's, oh, that's great. Yeah. That's fucking, yeah, that's great. No, man, it's awesome. And it's perfect for somebody, you know, like you that wants to say, you know, somebody said something to me a long time ago that actually it was Bill Burr said to me when I was, you know, first, like, this is like 10, 11 years ago when we first became like close. He said, that, you know, the two things nobody could ever take away is your stand up and your podcast. because that's mine. Like when I do the VIRZI Effect or any podcast I do or my stand up, that's mine.
Right.
And that's my creation and it's my thing. And there's no boss to go into an office and go, hey, why'd you say that? People are upset. It's like, fuck that, man. It's like, I'm saying what I want to say. And, and I know the audience liked it when you said it. It was just, you had to deal with a bunch of bullshit. Now you're sitting at home. You could go eat a bowl of Fruity Pebbles in fucking the next room.
Are you still doing the podcast with Bill?
So I do 2 podcasts.
Right.
Yeah, I do the VIRZI Effect. I do the VIRZI Effect every week. I do the VIRZI Effect solo one week, guest the next week, solo one week, guest the next week. And then me and Bill Burr do the Anything Better podcast where, it's funny. It morphed into more than what we wanted. It was going to be like us talking sports. Me and him are both sports guys. We talk a lot of shit NFL. We have a lot of fun with it. But then we just started talking about our wives and our lives and our kids and all that. So it's like this sports show, but then about life. And it's really like it's going well. We're I think we are about to be a year in. We're like 3 or 4 weeks away from a year from our 52nd episode. And yeah, man, it's been great.
I've watched it evolve, both of your podcasts. I think you're, I think the world of you as a comic, that, but I appreciate it. I think you're a great broadcaster too,
Oh, thank you, man.
And so, and that's what this is, the problem with podcasting is there's, I think the Edison research said there's 3/4 of a billion. There's 750,000 podcasts out there. If you have 1,000 downloads or more on average per episode, you're in the top 10%. The Rogans of the world are going to be, the top 1%. Sure. So that means that 90%, you got kids that have like 3 people in their family that listen and they're doing a pod. Everybody wants to be a broadcaster. Not everybody can understand the art of conversation. I think you do a really good job with the one with Bill too, because I love Bill Burr. Bill Burr is very much like Chappelle. He says, go fuck yourself. This is what I'm saying. This is what I mean, he got so much heat on that. Was it the Saturday Night Live thing he did? And he got kicked back on that. I forget what he said, but he got kicked back on that. But he just let it roll off the shoulders. Just go fuck yourself. This is me. This is what I said. Like it or not, deal with it. I love it.
Yeah, I think that, and that's like a good way to, like, the thing is like addressing the nonsense, addressing the angry mob. Because that's what it is now. It's like the internet has angry mobs. The internet angry mob now is, what it was with like pitchforks and torches showing up to the castle. Yeah. There's a group of people that are waiting. They're waiting to hear something, whether it's Chappelle doing a bit or any and you just have to go, look, these are my jokes, man. And if people can't take them as a joke and they're taking them so literally, and if that's my social commentary with humor on it and you don't like it, it's like, I'm sorry, but you can't apologize. Like, last night I was on stage in New York City and somebody said to me, you can't do a joke. You cannot do a joke about punching Asian people in the face. And I said, yes, I can. And I will now. And I figured out a way to do it. And it fucking killed. And I had Asian people in the crowd punching and kicking, laughing. And it was like, there's nothing, you can take a premise that's dark or maybe upsetting people at the time and go, hey, I'm going to put a little light on this. And if you're that fucking crazy, to take it literally and think that there's like real malice and hate behind it, it's you're fucked up. I agree. And you know what's crazy? Those people are the ones that turn evil. You ever see like a protest where they're like yelling, like they were like outside of they're like outside of a corporate building and they're yelling, and then one person comes to oppose it and says like, I thought it was fine. You ever see them take the sign from that person and how evil they get on that person? Right. So it's like, so that person is just coming to do a counter of what you're doing, but God forbid, right? They take the sign and now all of a sudden it's not peaceful anymore because they're fucking hypocrites, man. They're hypocrites and they don't even really know what they're mad at. They just see an angry mob, a light, and they go towards it like a bug to a light, man. It's bullshit.
What was I saying, Nate, the other day? I was like, the reason why, you have the media that evokes the emotion of fear, and how they got there. I don't know if I was talking to you about it. I was talking to somebody about it. And, everything, there has to be good and bad. There has to be two sides. You think about, there's nothing that exists that attracts a crowd that's not two sides. A football game, a baseball game. You got the Giants and the Skins going at it. You got Giants fans, you got Skins fans. They hate each other because it's a rivalry. Where do they meet? Oh, they meet in the stadium. And that's how you come together, is by having two sides. Luke Vader. It's just like, there's always going to be two sides. And same with the protesting people. And same with when you give your opinion, it's just my opinion. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm sure Bill Burr wasn't trying to hurt anybody. I know Chappelle, I'm sure he wasn't trying to hurt. You're not trying to hurt anybody. You're trying to make people laugh and just shed some different light on it. It's the people that can't accept another person's opinion and gets offended by it. They're the ones that are fucked in the head. Those are the ones that have problems.
I actually think that there's a lot of mental illness involved in that. And I think, listen, we're all mentally fucked up. I mean, I run around telling dick jokes in strip malls. There's something fucked up with that. But I try to be as logical and down to earth in my fucked up stuff as possible. But I think that there are really sick people that when they hear something that they can't handle, now there's a platform for them.
Yeah.
Now they can turn a microphone on and they can really ruin people's lives and careers. They take a phone out, and then what they do is they don't show the whole thing. They'll show, it was like that thing with Louis, where Louis was doing a joke about, like, I guess heavy kids in like the thing that came out, heavy kids in a school shooting. And now he was trying to work out a bit, and somebody pulled out a cell phone and just took the part that seemed insensitive and cruel. But because, Louis was down and out and all the stuff that had happened, and it was like, no, man, it's like, that's bullying. That's bullying. That's what they don't want to say. It's always, those people don't want bullying. Those people they want everybody, equality for everybody, but they do the opposite. They find you. They want to tear down your career. They want to bully you by saying, like, look what he's doing. And it's like, no, man, if we want to come together, then let's come together and talk. They don't want to talk.
Yeah.
Because real talking is, all right, let's sit down. You were really upset and hurt and thought that there was malice behind what I did. Let's get a beer and talk. They can't do it. They can't do it. It's bullshit.
Have you ever had an old school comic, an OG in the world, have a good heart-to-heart conversation with them and have them tell you that it's always been like this, or it's never been like this, in a different time?
Yeah, I mean, there's been... I can't remember specific who and time, but I know that there were sitting around a comedy club going, man, things are... Actually, there was one comedian who said to me, old school guy, OG, like probably like 80s, 90s. And he's like, I couldn't start today.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't start. I couldn't get in this today.
Right.
It's just too, because it used to be you go on stage and you go up and you have fun. And if you say wild shit, you say wild shit. And if you made it funny, great, and everything was going good. Now, a young comic today, if you're starting today, you definitely have to kind of tread differently, which I think is a sad thing. You don't, and you shouldn't have to, but you can be hurt if you kind of say some reckless shit that you're trying out, and somebody catches it wrong. People who won't. You can lose work. That's the sad thing. You can lose work. Like, I think the best example is like Andrew Dice Clay, man. Dice today will have his fans, and he'll go and he'll pack places and do it. But if Andrew Dice Clay was coming up the way he was when Rodney Dangerfield put him on in the 80s,
yeah,
I think because he had pushback then. Right. He was like one of the first guys with like pushback then. Now they would try to kill, like, crucify. It'd be nuts.
Have you had another person in the comedy world pull you aside and say, hey, man, I saw your set, or I saw your special, or I listened to your podcast, something, and say, you know what, you might want to steer clear, or that offended me?
Yes.
You have.
Well, I listen, my manager is great. My manager, Rory Rosegarden, is great. He's represented Brian Regan and Ray Romano for 30 something years. And he wanted to work with me, and he saw something in me, and we had a great dinner. And next thing you know, I'm working with this guy that's been in the business for 40 years. And he was at my special that we just shot, and he says some really amazing things. He said some incredible things. He said, I'll put the special against anything I've seen in his business. And it was really, really humbling. But he also said, if I was you, I would take this out. I would take that piece out. And I would take that piece out. So now there's like, 2 or 3 pieces in an hour and 6 minutes. But you got to understand, those pieces are my baby. Mm-hmm. I hone those pieces. I went all over the United States and all over everywhere working these jokes, and I like those jokes. And I would take this out. I would take that out. And I'll listen, if there's something that there has been a joke where I'm like, you know what? That's just, even though I'll do that on the road and have fun with that, but that's not people will take that the wrong way. And I'm okay with just doing it live. But then there's other jokes where I'm like, this joke will offend people, and it's staying in my special. That's it. Yeah. I can't have it out because it's clearly a fucking joke, but it's something that I really believe in. And like the other one, maybe that's why do that? Like I'm also not stupid. I'm like, yeah, why do that? Because I don't love the joke enough to maybe make it hurt anything. But if I really stand by something, and listen, the nice thing about the people around me and my team is that they'll go, Paul, it's up to you. Cause I said, listen, guys, this is my jokes. So I'm going to keep what I want to keep. So they'll suggest it. But if I really want to stick with it, I'm just going to stick with it and I'll deal with whatever.
Yeah. I was curious, kind of getting to the story that's, kind of was a big deal for a few days recently, where I guess Chappelle and Patton Oswalt took a picture, and Patton Oswalt said, I don't agree on his transgender stand or something to that effect. And like, I guess everybody on their podcasts, from the Rogans to the Corollas it was like, you don't need to apologize. So I'm like, what is he apologizing for? That he's his friend? I go, I guess was that the concept of the whole thing?
Yeah, I think what he was doing was they've been friends for decades. Yeah. And I think, and it sucks. It sucks that he had to feel like, hey, I'm jumping on my buddy's show. I mean, those guys were coming up together at the Aspen Comedy Festival 25 years ago. I mean, those guys know each other so well. And then he sees him and he jumps on his show and they take a picture. But because of all the backlash that Chappelle got, he felt inclined. And look, man, like, I don't want to talk about a fellow comic that, maybe is going through whatever. Like, the fact that you got to write a fucking letter. Yeah. I was joking. Last night I ran into Ari Shaffir at the Stand. And I was like, yeah, dude, I got to write a letter after, tonight, we were just bullshitting. But, it sucks that he had to write a letter. Imagine being friends with somebody for 34 years. And you see them and you take a picture, and then all of a sudden you get scared because of backlash. So you're inclined to write a letter. It's like, if that's where we're living, man, that's fucking wild.
Well, I don't think you should. And it's kind
of course not.
It's kind of like Nate, the conversation we were having about the vax stuff. I mean, most of the people that are around me have a different 2 cents on how I feel about it, but that doesn't mean they're wrong. And I sure the fuck ain't going to unfriend them because of some stupid pandemic. It's like I was friends with them before this stupid virus, and I'm going to be friends with them after this virus. Just because they think a different way doesn't mean I'm not going to let the world determine who my relationships are with. And you never should. I don't think, at least.
Listen, if I love somebody and I've been friends with them for decades, unless they're a fucking murdering pedophile, dude, I'm hanging with you. Unless you're a real, like, if I found out some horrible, horrific shit, I would be like, all right, it's a wrap. But if somebody has it, like you said, somebody's got an opinion, or somebody said a joke that everybody got mad at, listen, I may bust their balls over a beer and be like, hey, that didn't go the way you thought it would, huh? Something like that. But I'm not gonna not be friends with them.
All right, so let me put you to the test. Let me give you a scenario. In high school, your best friend, and he bailed you out of jail. He even saved your life one time. Was this guy, Antonio Brown, really good football player. So years down the road, he becomes an NFL superstar, and then out of the blue decides to go play the Jets, fucking quit in the middle of the game, take off his shirt. You, by the way, now have a job in the front office of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you stay friends with him after that?
I would definitely stay friends with him. I would call him into the room, and I'd be like, Antonio, what the fuck are you doing? It would turn into a mafia meeting. I would go, dude, are you out of your fucking, what the fuck were you? I mean, we had 2 quarters left, you fucking lunatic. And then we would probably go to lunch that night, and I would be like, look, they're going to fire you. I'm going to do everything I can. I'll do anything I can to throw in my 2 cents to keep you here. But you really put me in a spot where it's like, dude, I mean, you're throwing your fucking pads. Yeah, I would do it like that. I mean, speaking of the Antonio Brown thing, I'm getting conflicting messages with people because I'm asking everybody, I'm talking to people, and I'm going, what do you think it is? And half the people are going, you know, I think it's something. I think it's a CTE thing. I think other people are like, no, he's just a dick. But I don't know about that because after that hit he took from that Vontaze Burfict guy 5 years ago, when you listen, and this is me, and maybe I want to be wrong because I actually, when I listen to the guy talk and laugh, you could tell why Tom Brady likes him. I think that there's an erratic, you doing that. Think about that, doing that because of a little argument. That's not a dick to me. That's not somebody that's a dick. That's somebody that might have been a diva and now has something wrong, and the two combine. That's what I think, dude. Because to be in the middle of an NFL game and literally retire and run and basically, you know, maybe not knowing, that's something's wrong with that. I actually feel bad for the guy in a way.
I think that there's something personally going on. You know, think about any time that you've acted out a character and let your emotions take over. It's usually a number of things that are going on in your life that you just can't control, and it just gets to a point where that last thing is the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
You know, so like, you know, I know he released a letter and he was really blamed just threw them under the bus, the Bucs organization, saying, you know, he needs ankle surgery. They kept needling him up so he could play. And he finally said, I just can't play. And then they said, you better get in there. And that's allegedly, according to his letter, is what happened. Then there's the rumor that he was only so many catches away from a big bonus and they wouldn't put him back in. So who knows? I think, you know, I asked an ex-NFL player who was very successful, won numerous championships. And I said, is that a thing where an organization will not play you so you don't get your bonus? And his reply was, yes, very rarely, and it's got to be a shitty organization. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not a shitty organization. So they're not going to do that. He said, then he also said, he goes, it's amazing how the public beats up on the football player, but Simone Biles quits on her country and she gets a pass. I was like, that's interesting. Then I replied back to him and said, she also got touched by the doctor she trusted too. So you got to give her a little bit of a pass on that one.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, no, that's a great point. And like, yeah, it is funny. Like the the public perception kind of picks and chooses how they want to go with it, right?
Sure.
When other athletes, you know, if an athlete that doesn't have a history does it, it could be mental health. When an athlete who's known as a diva, but I think when they said go back in the game, they were saying he was only a few catches away from at least a $300,000 bonus. So I think he had multiple levels to get to 300,000, but I don't buy the $1 million thing, especially with Brady and him being as close as they are. Plus, Godwin is out, so they need him.
Yeah,
$1 million to a team that won a Super Bowl last year with Tom Brady and the money they're making now. They're not worried about the money, so I don't think it's that. I think that he got into some sort of argument and was just like, I personally, if you ask me, when I see the guy talk, I think something's wrong. That's completely, like I said, I tell dick jokes in malls. I'm not a doctor, okay? I'm not a scientist. I don't know what COVID's going to do. I'm not going to tell you I don't fucking know. I don't know anything. I'm sitting in my fucking garage right now yelling into a microphone or in a room where people aren't here. But when I see Antonio Brown talk and I watch his behavior since a few vicious hits, I feel like a combination of, yes, his personality and attitude has mixed with something that maybe he's having a hard time with. And together, that is causing this. Because listen, even if he's like, I'm done with these people and I can't believe he just told me to go in the game with an ankle, you could wait 2 quarters and then get into it in the office after the game, or, halftime, like to do it the way he did it and then to walk off and wave off and to throw this stuff. And another telling thing with me was when Mike Evans was like, dude, don't do this. Don't do this. And he still takes it off. And Mike Evans is going, no, dude, you don't understand. Like, he had friends and teammates going, this is not the way. And he still did that to me. Because I've watched arguments with, it's happening a lot this year. The camera's at least picking it up. We've seen a lot of arguments among teammates this year, right?
Yeah.
You're seeing teammates punch each other in the face or talk shit to each other, but then one just goes to the bench and is like seething angry, and the other one is talking to a coach. Like, that's kind of, it's like, we'll deal with this shit internally. So I think him doing that's erratic behavior during a football game that, to me, again, just my opinion, something is, and to have Tom Brady's press conference is another telling thing where Tom is like, look, we love him, man. I love him. And I want the best for him. And I hope he gets the help. Unfortunately, it's not going to be with this team. That right there tells me that this guy, I let this guy sleep in my home. I brought this guy in. I talked to the organization to bring Antonio Brown here. I've done everything. I've made this guy my brother. And then that happened. It's like, he needs help. I'm putting the puzzle pieces together. That's what makes more sense to me.
Yeah, but would Tom Brady said the same thing if they lost? Because he almost lost that game. He almost got beat by the Jets. I mean, that's worse than losing to a real team. And
that's, that's true. Tom has never really, even in a bad loss, I've never seen Tom. It would be great. Wouldn't it be great to see Brady just lose his fucking shit one time? Like, just starts but I don't think that's in his character, but that would be great.
Man, you know what? I can't believe we lost to this shitty team. It was because of that fucking Antonio Brown. I let that bastard stay in my ass. What a fucking quitter. Get out of here.
I've been to 10 fucking Super Bowl. I got 7 fucking, just everything is just beeping. Then he has a meltdown. He throws his jacket into the
TB12 out.
He throws his Uggs at a reporter.
I want to go back and again, just a reminder for those that listen to the show in the Atlanta area this entire weekend. You can go see Paul VIRZI at the Punchline, punchline.com. Go there to the diner, get out of the house, enjoy yourself.
Yes.
If you feel safe. I mean, I think a lot of us are feeling safer after I just got through with COVID. It was my first bout with it. I know you had it and it's heyday, Paul, but now that I'm out of quarantine, I feel like I was not only released from Shawshank, but have this, Kevlar vest stapled to my chest. It's like you feel so powerful, like a superhero after you're like, Mr. Antibody, da, 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 da. It's like, let me go lick a fucking doorknob. You'll probably that might be a good question to ask at the Punchline. You're like, all right, who's got the antibodies? Raise your hand. Fuck HIPAA laws or whatever it is.
Well, what's funny is my whole family had COVID the week of Christmas.
That's what I had.
So I think I had it twice, but I did test negative. But then my wife got sick. I had like a cough and a sniffle for a couple of days. Both of my kids had it. They were actually able to, after quarantine, to go back into school today. I feel fine. So yeah, I'm hoping people out in Atlanta, come out like if vaxxed and boosted, whatever. But yeah, man, I'm going to come out. I'm talking all kinds of shit. I'm doing new stuff. I'm working on some other stuff. I'll be talking, just having a good time. So I hope people come in. Like I said, I'm not just saying that, Jamie Bendel and Chris DePetta, people hear, a comedy club at the diner. You know what? You go to that room and the dimensions of that room, as far as the ceiling, as far as the layout. I know you've been there before. When that place is like perfect for a great night of laughing and the way that it is. So yeah, I'm coming in there, and you know what I'm doing? I'm going to every time I come to Atlanta, every fucking time for like 8 to 10 years, there was not a sporting event going on. But this time I am going to Falcons Saints because I haven't been to the stadium. So I'm going to go to Falcons Saints on Sunday afternoon before my Sunday night show, and I'm going to go check out that stadium. And I think that game actually means something for the Saints.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wasn't going to go if it was just going to be a preseason game where they were just throwing out a guy that was cleaning fucking toilets to see what he could do for their practice squad. But I'm going out, so I'm gonna have a good time.
Are you going? What's God? I feel bad. I don't remember his name. What's your buddy that lives here in town? We had lunch. All three of us. We had lunch together.
Oh my God, Shafit. Shafit Jeff? No, was it Jeff?
Big guy.
Wasn't Jeff?
Big guy. I don't know. Maybe I got him in my phone as Paul's friend. I don't know. He's your friend. You tell me.
We went to lunch with it. It wasn't Jogan. No, Joe Gonzalez is coming in, my buddy. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, we went to lunch where I played tennis. We went to lunch. Took you guys to lunch.
Oh yeah, Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai. Is that his
Cobra
name?
Kai did where Cobra Kai did the scene.
Yeah, that's where we went to lunch, right? Yeah, where they did the thing, the scene, the thing. Yeah.
The karate fight where the chick threw the fucking pie on the girl.
Right, exactly.
No, yeah, dude, Jeff. I think it's Jeff. I think we're talking about Jeff. But anyway,
I feel horrible now that I brought it up and he's your buddy and you don't even remember his fucking name. My point was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. You're going to the game with him. That's all I was going to say. So we can move on from that. I told anybody we want to come to the game, man. I'm going to, like I said, I think I'm going to have to, I got like a 7:00 show and the game is at 4. So I'm going to probably be there probably until like the late third quarter or whatever. And if it's a dud, probably take off, but I'm going to definitely go and check out the stadium and grab a bite there and see that. So I heard the new stadium's great. Yeah, I haven't been to a football game there, but we've been to some concerts there. The concerts are horrible. The sound is so bad.
Concerts in football stadiums it's really tough to get that, like, you know, like at least like Madison Square Garden is kind of, believe it or not, intimate. It's like 18,000, but they're right there. And the way they seat it, it's like if it's the stages in the middle, it's like, but a football stadium is tough.
Yeah. I've never been to Madison Square Garden. I want to go see a wrestling event at Madison Square Garden. I think that'd be cool.
It's my favorite place on earth. And I had the honor to work there twice, but 2018, I performed in the round. Me and Joe Bartnick opened for Burr in the round. And, dude, I'm standing mid-court in my home, my favorite team. Like, you know, I'm a diehard Knicks fan. Everybody, friends and family, 18,000 people, and I'm standing around. One of the greatest sets I ever had in my life, and it was a moment where, and my son, I keep taking my son to the Garden. Well, not now, because New York City's brutal right now, man.
Why is it?
I hate to say that about my city, but it's just filled with crime. What's going on in the subways? You know, I have friends who are police officers. Like shootings are up like 70. It's an absolute. Wow. It's really, and I hate to say this about my city because normally, you know, I'm a New Yorker, man. I love that. I got my bones in New York City. I love it. But the way things are right now, it's like I took my son to a Knicks game, man, and like. It was like, he was like grabbing onto me like, Daddy, is this all right? And I was like, yeah, I was fucking scared. I was like grabbing onto him back. I was like, let's get the fuck out of here.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's kind of a shitty thing right now. Hopefully, you know, there's a new mayor, new governor, like hopefully that does something. But some of these cities, man, it's like I drive in, go into the comedy club, tell my jokes and head back up to the country, you know?
I saw something recently that's like the city and the city vibe with the crime uptick hasn't been this bad since the late 70s, early 80s. You know, when it was, and really
as sad as that is, I'm just telling my wife, TV guy coming.
Okay, that's fine.
On podcast.
And by the way, Joe, did Joe do the gig at the Knicks game thinking that he was going to a Rangers game? Because he doesn't know anything but hockey, right? That's all Joe Bartnick knows.
Bartnick was just so thrilled he was like so thrilled, dude, to be at the Garden. And he was just, that's all we kept talking about. I was like, dude, we just did like the Garden in the round. Like we were in the middle of 18,000 and that iconic ceiling. And then when you walk through the hallways, you see like the poster of Sinatra when he was there in 76, and you see the Billy Joels, and like, so they have all of the posters of the performances when there's something else other than sports. And it was just really, it was really like, as corny as it is to say, man, I'm taking that one with me, man, forever.
What's the venue on Long Island that's attached to the Marriott over there? Was that the
wait, in the Round?
The Barclays Center, right? Is that the, no?
Oh no,
that's
the Barclays Center is in Brooklyn.
Yeah, what's the place Long Island? The
Long Island, the Westbury Music Fair. I think that's the one with
the it's the big venue where all the concerts are.
Jones Beach? No.
It's the big. They just had it redone a couple years ago. Anyway, I hosted
Paramount.
No. It's you say it. It's like my point is it's like Madison Square Garden name recognition.
The Nassau Coliseum?
Nassau Coliseum. So
okay,
I host it, and they just redid it a couple years ago, and I used to host this tennis tournament, the New York Open there for a couple years. And when you go in your back, whatever backstage is a tennis tournament, but you'd see the pictures of back in the day, the Billy Joels and everybody, like Billy Joel, I think really made the Nassau Coliseum back in the day. You see all these old pictures of these artists, and it's like, it takes me to that scene in Dead Poets Society when Robin Williams is standing behind his students and they're all looking at the pictures, old school black and white photos of kids before them at the school. And he's whispering, Carpe diem. Seize the day. And I'm just, because I'm a big history guy, and I respect my elders, and I respect history and all that shit. And I'm just looking at this, and it's like, Uptown Girl. Yeah. I've been living in an uptown world. And I'm like, that's so cool. I'm standing where this happened.
That's one of the coolest parts about our business that like people don't see. And we don't really talk about a lot, but like when you're standing backstage and you look down and there's like a gold sticker and it says like Frank Sinatra was standing right here, there's something really cool, or any performer. I just use him because especially in Vegas, you see a lot of him, but any performer like that's iconic. Mm-hmm. And now you're like, and then my dumb ass is going to walk out, you're like, these people out of this classy man in a suit. I'm coming out in fucking Jordan 3s and a hoodie to tell dick jokes and people to go fuck themselves. But it really is kind of cool though. But what got me at the Garden was, I'm a big Knicks, Patrick Ewing. So like I'm looking up and you see all of their retired, numbers in the Raptors, and you're just like, oh my God, dude, I'm standing here. That's one where it's like, you better not fucking bomb.
Yeah. Well, it's, the worst thing is when you meet one of these people because of what you do, and you've been a mark for them since you were a kid, and you find out they're a fucking asshole. And it just like tears down everything. That's one of the downfalls in our business. People have always said, oh, you're so lucky you get to meet all these great people. Yeah, for the most part you are. But the downside of that is you might not be on their level, but at least in my case, but you're in the same category where there's the unwritten rule where you don't necessarily mark out because you're in the same world. So when you meet them, you really kind of see the true side of them. But the entertainment side, you're like, oh, this guy's a fucking asshole. He's nothing like his character on TV. I hate this, Yeah.
Like that's why like I'm kind of afraid to meet Eddie Murphy, because for me, I'm 10 years old watching Eddie Murphy Raw in a movie theater with my dad and my brother, and it changed everything for me. Like Eddie was the first one to make me just look at a comedian different. I looked at Eddie like a rock star. Like I looked at Eddie as when, because it was everything. Like after SNL, 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop, and then all of a sudden 2 amazing specials and this great talent. And I heard that he's like a very shy person. And I've heard, you hear things like, oh man, yeah, he was really nice, but shy. Oh, he was great. Oh, it's this and that. But you never know if you ever get the chance to have that interaction, what it's going to be like with you.
Yeah.
And how many times has Eddie Murphy heard, dude, I do this because of you? Because he made a generation want to do it. So there's a lot of people like me. So he probably hears it, and you never know if it gets old to him. So I'm kind of like, if I'm ever in the same room, and hopefully I will be one day, I do have to tell him though, like, thank you for like he's one that would really like, as far as like staring at somebody or like what would fuck me up. Cause I've been around all these guys, right? I've been around guys that are on huge levels and it's fine. And hey, you know, or whatever. Eddie would be different from me. Like Eddie would be like being in a room with Jordan. The two guys that would make me stare or at least look more than normal would be Eddie or Jordan. But I've heard a lot of stories about Jordan, so I don't need to meet him, but Eddie would be it would be really hard for me in my life if Eddie Murphy was an asshole to me.
Well, the trick is you have your kid do your dirty work. Because they're all cool, you know. So
yeah.
You know, have your kid go and be like, "Oh my God, Shrek is my favorite," and you're like, "Oh, I want you to meet my dad. My dad's a comic," and be like, "Oh my God, Eddie, dude, I can't tell you how much, thanks for doing this, my kid. But by the way, thank you." You know, so that's like the good icebreaker versus, you know, you're the kid that goes over there, and in their defense. A lot of time, you know, these are most of the time just normal people, even though they're put up, you know, society puts them on this pedestal. They're just normal people doing what they love to do. It's a job. You know, you don't see people go up to a plumber and go, "Oh man, thank you. There's a reason I'm in the plumbing business is because of you." It gets weird after a while, and they're not all egomaniacs, unlike popular opinion. And, you know, you have to be really comfortable in your skin to have somebody else come up to you and thank you for whatever it is that you did that you didn't know you did so well. It's uncomfortable.
Right.
It's awkward. I did that to Garth Brooks when I had the dude, let me tell you, it's a true story. So when my grandmother was my rock and when she passed, my cousin turned me on to Garth Brooks. I'm not a fan or whatever. And so I'm can't stop listening to him in that River song. I can't listen to it to this day. I cry. So I played it at her funeral. You know, I put on the boombox, played at her funeral, and it just always meant something to me. And, you know, I never got a chance to meet him or talk to him. He took the hiatus and then he tried to play baseball or something. You never saw him in concert. So he comes back out of retirement and a mutual friend of ours, mine and Garth Brooks, he's like, "I'm going up to New York, new Yankee Stadium. He's playing. Do you want to go? You and Rach want to go, and you know we'll have some time with them, you know, because they go way back." I was like, "Oh my God!" And he knew the whole story. So we get into this room, and it's, you know, a handful of us industry folks, me being the low man on the totem pole, and it's finally my turn. You know, and I, you know, he's like, "You know, you're not, I know you've been doing this, so, you know, just don't get over it." You know, I'm like, "Come on, Mike, I get it. I understand." So he gets to me and he tees it up. He's like, "You know, this is Jason Bailey, works for the company. He's one of our rock properties, you know, big show, big time personality." And I said, "Hey, Mr. Brooks, Miss Yearwood, it's a pleasure to meet you. I know I don't have much time here. I just wanted to thank you, you know." And I started telling the story about my grandmother and my voice cracks. And it's like, and I started like tear up. My wife puts her hand on my shoulder and I get through it. It was like a blur. I was so nervous, so scared. And it was like a blur. So then we kind of break apart from the circle and we start taking pictures in front of the stand-up. And I feel these two hands come on my traps, and it's Garth Brooks. And he whispers in my ear, "Thanks for sharing that story. It means a lot to me when I hear stories like that."
Dude, that's awesome.
I get chills every time I tell that fucking story, you know? So that was my mark. That was your, you know, not that he influenced me on my career, but that was my mark. You know what I mean?
Dude, that is so funny because in my mind, as soon as your voice cracked, I'm thinking he's going, "Oh, here we go. Another one of these." You know, like, cause dude, I have one of the worst ones where, and this didn't mean that much to me, but I am a big Giants fan, as you can see over my door. And, you know, my Giants are a mess right now. But Michael Strahan comes into the comedy club and he is literally next to me. Like, I'm on stage and there's like 2 or 3 seats. He's right there. Yeah. Right. He's right there. And I'm doing well. And I was doing this joke. I remember him laughing, specifically laughing. I heard his laugh while I was on stage and I did really well. And then I'm outside and he's not out of the club yet. And his friend goes, hey man, Michael, like he was there to see a comic that was his friend.
Oh.
So he's like, hey, my friend like is a comic. I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna watch him, and then I'm gonna leave, whatever. But he ends up staying for the show. I did really well. And his friend comes out and goes, listen, man, just so everybody knows, man, Michael's not taking pictures. There's no pictures out here. Like, he's just here to enjoy the night, whatever. So I'm like, all right, I think he was going through something publicly with his wife at the time. And I'm like, all right, yeah, no, it's all good. So Michael Strahan comes out. All the comics are outside because it was kind of like a hang. It was summertime. And I was like, fuck, I would have liked a picture, but whatever. And then Strahan looks at me, walks over, smiles, and goes, dude, funny, man, funny song. So I was like, yeah. So now I'm like, fuck it, I'm asking for a picture because he just came to me, right? So I go, Mike, man, is it cool if we? He goes, yeah. And now I start to get excited because he was so cool and thinks I'm funny. So now in my dumb mind, I'm friends with Michael Strahan. In my stupid fucking delusional mind, I'm going to be talking to this guy now because I made him laugh and we're taking a picture. And dude, I put my arm around this guy's giant back. And right as the picture's being taken, like a fucking dummy, I just go, 07 changed my life. And I instantly go, what? I have children. 07 changed my life. Now he thinks I'm this NFL nerd. 07 changed my life. I'm a grown man with kids. And I literally wanted to be like, no. I mean, like, it was such a great Super Bowl. But I'm into it. So he probably left going, wow, I thought that guy was funny. And that got a little fucking weird. Like, who says 07 changed my life? I know the Patriots were undefeated. What I could have said was, dude, 07 was amazing. Thank you. But instead changed my life. I just took it to that one weird level. Like, changing your life means like, all right, this guy's taking things a little too seriously.
Yeah, it just doesn't come out right sometimes. You can rehearse and you can. I swear to God, that whole trip up to New York, I'm rehearsing in my head, and I'm an ad lib type of guy. I'm like, oh, come on, Bailey, don't sweat this. I mean, you fucking talk for a living. This is good. It was, it's been years. Be a fucking man about this. So Garth, like, oh shit. And then, and then to make matters worse afterwards, some of the people that were in our group, again, they're all industry folks. One guy that I know now, but at the time I didn't know, and he's kind of a big deal in the country world. And he's like hosts all the country music shows and stuff. He's got a syndicated radio show at a national, anyways, a big deal. And it was the first time I ever met him. And he comes over and I'm supposed to be this, kind of tough guy, rock guy kind of thing. And he comes over and he goes, man, that was beautiful. And I'm like, what the fuck? Don't tell me that's beautiful. Two guys don't say that's beautiful behind fucking Yankee Stadium. What are you doing? It's like, that's not what we do. We eat raw meat and piss on each other is what we do.
That's great. Yeah. Oh, dude, the voice crack is that nothing is funnier than when a fucking tough man or a grown man tries to keep it together and they crack. Yeah. It is the greatest, like, cause it just shows that we all have that in us. Yeah. But when you start cracking, like you're going through puberty, it's like, and then the best is when you got to stop. Yeah. I'm sorry. Cause here's the thing though. A grown man, me and Burr talked about this on the podcast once because we were talking about how soccer fans, like European soccer and World Cup fans, they cry to another level. Like when they lose, like we were talking about that guy from Argentina. Argentina lost to Brazil in the World Cup. And when I tell you this 50-year-old man was crying, he was bubbling. He was like, he cried. Like, men, it takes a lot. Like for me, like if I cry at a movie, right, it'll be like tearing, and then like you get the chills and you kind of just deal with it. You walk away, but I'm never like, oh, that's where it's like the line gets drawn of crying, like, and I'm not trying to like be a misogynist. So that's for women. I'm just saying it's weird to see a man full on lose it. Right. Like shaking.
But it feels good. I mean, I think Nate, probably the last time was my story. The last time that I bawled out crying was when we lost our dogs, right?
Right. Yeah. That was probably it.
And even though we're sit there and in this emotional tornado, and we're just I know I was bawling my eye. I mean, I didn't give a fuck who was around me. If somebody would have said something to me while I'm at the vet, you know, and having to go through that would have been the end of days for that individual. And you know, so I just didn't care. But I don't know about you, Nate. At one point I'm going, is this too much? You know, did you?
Yeah. And you have a different respect now for people that if you've never lost a dog before, when you see it on Facebook, you kind of, I mean, you feel bad, but you just kind of scroll by. And then once you do lose a dog that's close to you, then you're like, oh shit, I wasn't, you know, helpful enough for that person because they're going through what I'm going through right now.
Yeah. But Paul's right. There's a different type of crying. There's that type of crying. There's Argentina Man crying. And then there's the kind of crying that you get at the end of Officer and a Gentleman and Pitch Perfect 3. You know, that's a like, allergies. That's all this is, you know?
I had that happen this year where, you know, we got 2 cats that are 16 years old. And now my other cat is one had to be put down. And my other cat, Stanley, who's still here, he'll be 17 this month. And they were real brothers, same litter. We got them from 7 weeks old to now 16 years. And one of them, our cat, Tom, he was gigantic. He was gigantic. He was like a 20-pounder, beautiful cat. And he was shy, but not around us. Like around us, he was just the best. And he would come over and rub his head. You could rub his belly, which cats don't like. Like that's when you really get for anybody listening, or if you know about cats, felines do not like the belly rub. Is like absolute no for them unless it's full on trust. It's like a dog wants you to scratch its belly. A cat, that's when you know when you ever touch a cat's stomach and the legs start to kick you or they start to, but when they let you do it, and like that's what he was. He was awesome. And dude, I gotta tell you, we saw for a couple days that it was done. Putting like the favorite snacks in front of him, and he just would turn his head, and he had the look in his eye. And I know dogs get it. And I got a dog, and I do not fucking look forward to that day. But when they look at you like I'm done, and you know it, and dude, I'll tell the story. I told the story on the Honeydew a while back, but the story really fucked with people. I'll tell you guys this story on the podcast. This is crazy. So, he's not doing good. He's not eating his snacks. And cats do a thing where when they're dying, 2 things. One, they want to be alone. When a cat's dying, they want to run away and they want to die alone because there's a lot of pride and they don't want. And that's true. Like when we were opening the door the last week of his life, he wanted to go off because what they want to do is they want to go walk off and literally walk off into the sunset and die. That's what they want. But because they're prideful, but I'm obviously not going to let him go outside. There's other animals and stuff. So I'm just like, dude, maybe he'll bounce back. And I'm like, after like the 3rd day, I told my wife, I go, I got to take him. And I think this is it. And he was like looking at me and she was crying because it was a gift. It was her gift at her 26th birthday was this cat. Okay. And it was just tough. And then we got his brother the next day. So anyway, you know that song by Marshmello, I want you to be happier.
Yes.
Lately, I've been thinking that song.
Yeah.
But my son kept saying for months, my son goes, don't play that song. I don't want to hear that song. And I go, why? This is true story, dude. Swear to God. And I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, don't play that song, Dad. It's real sad. He goes, the video is just about a girl and her dog. So I go, what? So that day, I'm getting the chills right now. That day, okay, he's in the bathroom with his head right to the wall. They like to stare. They like to be right up to the wall when they're dying. Really horrible shit, and they want to be gone. And I'm like, Paul, we're already having a fucking sad, awful day. Let's look at the video your son doesn't want to see before you take him to the vet, and let's see what that's about. So, dude, I'm on my bed, and I go to that Marshmello song. And the video, like, lately, I've been thinking I want you to be happier. It's this young girl. She gets a puppy. This is the video. The young girl gets a puppy. And then she grows up with the puppy. And then she's in high school and she comes home and the puppy's there. In college. And then she's home or whatever. And the puppy is sick. And now he's obviously not a puppy. He's a big dog. And he's sick. And he grew up with her. And then her and her dad go to the vet. And He just comes in and gives the head shake like it's over, and she's crying, and I'm just sitting there, and my cat's in the bathroom about to take him to the vet. I know, why the fuck am I looking at this shit? I don't know why why am I taking this pain? So I stop it. I obviously understand why my son and daughter don't want to hear that song because blah, blah, blah. I take my cat to the vet, dude. And the lady comes out and she recognized me from the animal hospital that I take the cats to. I go, look, he's real bad, man. And I don't know. They told me that there was stuff, fluid by his heart. Dude, by the way, I spent thousands of dollars on this cat to keep him alive weeks leading up. Yeah, thousands.
I get it.
I was like, I don't give a fuck what you got to do. I put my wife got mad because I put him on a resuscitate in the middle of the night. She's like, should we put him on a resuscitate? I go, ma'am, I'll stab you for my cat. I'll kill you, everybody in this hospital for this cat.
You're looking at $20K plus for chemotherapy for Allie, for my dog.
Yes, you get it. That's the type of guy you are. I get it. And I know that about you. And it's just like that. Yeah, it's like, keep him alive. So she goes, what's the problem? I go, I think it's really bad. I go, I paid a lot of money to that place. She goes, let me just take a look at him. No charge. I'm going to do a scan of his insides. I'm going to look at and I'll be right back. And I'll tell you what, you know. So she takes the cat inside and I'm just sitting there and I'm just sad, dude, because I know he's in bad shape. And I turned the radio on, hand to God, that song was on. And I knew when that song came on that she was going to tell me to put him down. And I'm sitting there, dude, and I wasn't bawling or crying, but when the song came on, what are the chances? You're talking with, and by the way, this is 2 years after that song is popular. You know how radio works. Yeah, you know the way there's like 17 songs in rotation when it's like a top 40. This is 2 years after this is a popular song. And I just literally just turn the radio on to be distracted for a second. And that song comes on and she comes out and she says, I said, you got to tell me. I said, you know me. I said, you got to tell me what you would do if it was your cat. She goes, I really hate when people ask me that. She goes, there's fluid around his heart. His it's going to fail. If it was me, I'd put him to sleep. And we made the decision to do that. And then I went in there and they told me about the 3 shots. And the 3rd shot is really the shot that ends it. And I said, look, I'll stay here and hold him while you sedate him and he goes to sleep. But I want to leave before the 3rd shot. And she said, fine. And I was really emotionally fucked up from it. And I can see people, when you see people at vets crying, maybe not quite as hard as you were, but when you see people, but when you see people crying and literally like weeping, that's a family member, dude. I don't care if it's a cat. I don't care if it's a dog. That's a family member that I know I just really depressed all your listeners. I'm a comedian. Sorry, guys. Come out to the punchline, dude. Listen, I'll be funny. Listen, there's going to be no sad story. Come out to the punchline. But no, I get what you're saying because that's a gut-wrenching thing that like this animal loved you and trusted you. I give my current cat now, his brother, who's going to be 17, I give him 2 shots of insulin a day for years because he's diabetic. And I pay, and I'll just pay for that because it's like, no, but I want everything in my house to be okay.
You know, it's funny, like what we'll do for our animals. One of my dogs years ago, when he was towards his end days, he was on all these different types of medications. He ended up dying of congestive heart failure, which, you know, just puts all this fluid in their body and it's not going through the right channels. And then they kind of get bloated and whatnot. But there were these pills, these heart pills, little small pin heart pills that would help out and give them more life, more time. But if I bought them through the vet, like a month's supply was like $300. At this time, I didn't have $300 to spend. You know, I was young in my career. I didn't have any money. And then I found out that these are the same pills that they give human beings. And I could get a 3-month supply at Costco for like 2 cents on the dollar. And so a buddy of mine who's a doctor, he's like, yeah, it's, you know, not a problem. So I'm sitting there, which, by the way, this is extremely illegal to do. You can't, I mean, like on so many different levels, but I didn't care. I knew it was illegal. I was willing to go to jail to keep my dog alive because I just didn't agree with it. I thought that was bullshit. Why can't I go get the drugs for a human being for 2? Like, why not? Let's keep the animals alive too. That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Dude, you're like fucking John Q. Remember, take my heart. Give him my heart. You got a gun to your head. You're like, if you take my heart, will the dog live?
I'm in the vet's office. I'm taking out snipers from the ceiling tiles. Anyway.
You go into a bank, everyone on the fucking ground. You're like, what are you doing this for? He's got leukemia.
That guy that lost his radio job that now does a podcast is selling up a PetSmart. What a fucking lunatic.
This guy's rescuing every dog in the ASPCAs across Georgia.
All right.
That's great.
PaulVIRZI.com. Your special Bill Burr presents I'll Say This on Comedy Central. You can stream it.
Yes. Yeah, you can stream it. That's behind the paywall on Comedy Central. That's the one that came out in 2018. Right. And the new one was shot. The new one was shot a couple months ago. That'll be coming out early this year. So look out for that. And yeah, man, PaulVIRZI.com, my YouTube channel. And I'll be at the Punchline. I'll be at the Punchline in Atlanta tomorrow, 2 shows, Saturday, 3 shows, and Sunday night, 1 show. So I'm excited to be coming to Atlanta for my first tour dates of the 2022 year.
Do we want to get together and have some lunch or a drink with your friend that doesn't have a name?
I'm down.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I don't. Jamie Bendel, we made a deal. You know, when I got fired, we were talking, and I said, just keep me in mind. I still want, I can still help promote. We've got still a very large audience, a lot bigger audience now. And, people listen and they'll go see the punch. Well, you would think because he knows of our relationship. I mean, maybe he just assumed that I was going to get a hold of you or you're going to get a hold of me, whatever the case may be. But you would think that he would have reached out to me and said, hey, Paul's going to be in town this weekend. I mean, that's what I would do if I owned the place. So with that being said, I'm angry with Jamie Bendel. So if you could sodomize him with one of the pies from next door, I would appreciate it.
I love about Bailey doesn't hold any punches with any. You know what's going to be weird is if I go into that radio station.
Oh, you don't want to do that. It'll be.
How's everybody doing? How's Bailey?
Yeah, pull one of those and see how that goes because they know we're friends. It'll be the worst fucking interview you've ever done on radio. I guarantee. I want you to go in there. I want you to go in there. Maybe you have because of when this is being aired, but I guarantee it's probably actually when we air this, it'll be happening at the same time. It'll be simultaneous Paul VIRZI. You tell me the last hour plus of me talking to Paul or the fucking 8 minutes of some dumbass guy for 5 minutes telling him a story about Bill Burr and how they met 25 years ago. You tell me which was a better fucking conversation.
And yeah, it's so funny too. Like, and I appreciate that because it's like I haven't opened for Bill for years, and since he's such a big comic, people will always. And I love being associated with Bill. He's my mentor. He's my best friend. But it's like I've been Bill believed in me and was like, watch this guy, and people still ask me about Bill, and it's like, dude, it's my friend. It's my mentor. So I appreciate that. How funny would it be if I went into that radio station with an apology letter for being on this?
So yeah, I just don't want to get any kickback. I'm just trying to sell tickets at the Punchline. I know that there's a hatred for Jason Bailey from you guys, and I know you're extremely jealous of how creative and talented he is, and because you're not. And on top of that, you all are extremely ugly people. Facially, you just are really like if I had the choice to fuck a AIDS infected giraffe or lick one of their faces, I'd fuck the AIDS infected giraffe.
So let me ask you a question real quick because I'm just curious about this too. When you get fired from radio, is it it's coming? Obviously when they call the meeting, it's good. Listen, Black Monday, right? Black Monday is when the NFL coaches get called in and they know but you had this going on for a while, so it's different, right?
So I'm blessed with this intuition. I just know when something's coming. Everybody think, right, Nate? I'm paranoid. Brandon, I'm paranoid. Bailey's a lunatic. I'm not paranoid. I'm fucking soothsayer is what I am. And so, I knew that the show wasn't going to work when I took the job. I just took the job because I was already here and I tried to do the best with what I had. It's like asking me to hit home runs in a Major League Baseball park with Major League Baseballs from a Major League pitcher, but you're giving me a fucking salami to hit with, So I was down, from the very beginning, but we had a successful run. There's no doubt about it. And it worked. I made it work. But towards the end, when new people came into play, especially the new program director, it was all he wanted my job because he didn't get it 7 years ago. So I knew from day one, he started to slowly pick apart the show. This was a strategy. That's why I built the studio. I was 2 years of knowing. I was just waiting for the ball to drop.
Dude, how funny is that? That like you'd get into an argument over there and then you would just come home, put up a TV screen in the studio. You start hammering nails. You started building that bitch a year and a half earlier.
Yeah, it's pretty like, it's like knowing that an asteroid's going to hit and you're building a bomb shelter. That's what I did.
Yeah, you get into a fight at the station. You're like, honey, I'm going to Home Depot after work. I'll be back. I got to get some wood. You're just building that thing. Yeah, you know what's funny is I used to get fired and I used to just not. When I knew I was getting fired from regular job, I just wouldn't. I would know. Like I just wouldn't show up. But it was always like jobs like waiting table, something sales. Yeah. So I would just know. Like I had the intuition, but I didn't want to deal with that. I was like, I'm not going.
This one was weird because it was on a Monday, and usually you get fired on Fridays. And I got the text before the end of the show, and I just knew it. So that's why I ended the show. I was like, I don't think I'll see you guys tomorrow. And I go into the office, and you have Super Liar, the big boss, and then you have Mr. Mute guy that thinks he's tough behind the desk, which I'd rip him from fucking arm to arm if we really wanted to have a conversation. And then, you had the statue with moving eyes, the HR lady that, was making it rain with paperwork. And all I fucking cared about was, would my insurance cover my colonoscopy the next month? And I couldn't get a fucking answer. And then finally the, Super Liar boss guy, he goes, yeah, your insurance ends, but why don't you just give me a call and let me see what I can do? I was like, yeah, fuck you. You're going to do something. Yeah, okay. I'm going to waste my time fucking using my prepaid minutes on your sorry ass. So that was that. And I've never been mad ever. I kind of joke. This is tongue in cheek because it's fun. But the only reason I'm irritated about this one is because I worked my ass off. So did Nate. And you keep, it's like, it's like you have the ability to hire talented people that with a great work ethic, but instead you want to hire bricks with heartbeats. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Does anybody know what's going on around there? That's what pisses me off. And the audience suffers. And that's my biggest problem, when the audience suffers. So that's my thing.
Well, yeah, but you know what though? You guys are going to be fine. You guys got a great thing going on right now. And yeah, like we were talking about the top of the show, it's the way of the world now, man. And it's like, get that studio, get the producer. Are you really in Mexico?
Nate is.
Yep. Playa del Carmen.
Wow. Like you living there? Like,
yeah. I've been here a little over 3 months.
Wow. Like what made you say Mexico? If you don't mind me, like
I've just been coming here for years and I love it. And we were working remotely at the time. And so then I just kind of made the decision like, hey, if I'm going to, if I could work anywhere, why not go somewhere beautiful? And then the company kind of said, yeah, we're not going to let you do that. They want everybody back in the studio. And I said, well, fuck it. I'm still going. Sorry.
Take a guess, Paul, how much him and his wife and his dog pay monthly for rent and utilities, everything. Take a guess.
300.
Oh, that's too low. $700.
All right. The way you said it, I was like, oh, is this like a rent control building? Like, but still that's amazing. So you're right by the ocean?
Yeah. I'm about a block from the beach, rooftop pool, water, internet, everything's included. My electricity bill's $15 a month. Yeah. It's great.
Are there a lot of Americans there?
Yeah, there are a lot of Americans, Canadians, and some Europeans also.
What do you call the internet people? What'd you call that one guy with the hot girlfriend? There's
like the expats?
No, there was a techie term that you guys used. I thought was pretty neat.
Oh, like digital nomads?
Yeah, digital nomads. How fucking cool! That's like Bronson and Death Wish. He's like
that. Yeah, that made me think of like Star Wars.
Yeah, too. That's such a fucking cool. Like, I want to be called that, a digital nomad. What are you doing down here? I'm nomading. Digital.
I'm a digital nomad. Be like, oh shit, dude, who's your leader?
I feel like I should be wearing like the biker scout uniform from Return of the Jedi. Like, I'm a digital nomad.
Yeah, a lot of the people in my building, they're like marketers or crypto traders, and they just travel around. They're in Bali. They come here. They go to Costa Rica. So yeah, any job that you can work remotely, they're just kind of traveling around now and doing it.
It's awesome.
Dude, yeah, man, it's what you could do now. That's awesome. But I really appreciate you guys having me on and having me on to promote my shows this weekend. And if you know anybody in the area, man, come down. It's going to be good. I mean, hopefully the COVID thing, people are vaxxed, and I know that it's going to be super safe. That's one thing that Jamie and I talked about. It's going to be super safe. So.
And if you go out there and you see Jamie Bendel walking funny, it's because he's got a lemon meringue pie up his asshole because Paul sodomized him. Or I show up and I sodomize him just because he didn't tell me Paul's coming. Anyway, paulvirzi.com. Brother, good to see you. I'll see you this weekend, and take care of yourself, all right?
Man, appreciate you guys, man. Talk to you. Best of luck. See you soon.
See you, bro.